Hey guys, welcome back to DailyWeeklyBuilds. Now, I've been building a lot of things, but not in the way you would typically, because I've been doing some digital design, which isn't something I'd ever thought I'd do, but the more I was doing it, the more I kind of enjoyed it, and now it's kind of my go-to thing. Like if I want to build a mock, right, I'll build it digitally first, then make the parts and all that lot, and then I'll order it and go from there. But I just thought I'd show you some of the designs that I've been building.
So first of all, I don't have access to Bricklink Studio because I have a Chromebook and you can't really get it on there. Like there might be some workarounds, but ideally you need like a Windows laptop or a Mac, and I don't have one of those. So instead I use a website called Mecabricks, which is kind of like a browser-based version of like a Lego digital designer. It's pretty good. It's what I've used. I've kind of learned how to do it, and initially you do get some free credit so you can kind of render some of your designs as well, which I've experimented with in the past. In terms of all the parts and everything, it doesn't have every Lego part ever existed. I think Mecabricks is mostly run by just kind of one guy or like a very small group of people, so you can kind of put in requests of what parts you want to see, and for the most part everything I've needed has already been on here available, but new parts are kind of added all the time. And then if you wanted to build a model, you can kind of obviously build it in the program and then export a wanted list so you can get your parts from Bricklink and buy it from there and all that jazz. I don't know if you can make digital instructions for it. That's not something I've kind of experimented with, but that might be something I'll do in the future. So let's show you some of my designs. So if we go into my library, you can see I've got a few folders of things here and some things I've been working on. So for example, I had my initial Wild West layout here. I did some brief plans for that on here as well. And then something I didn't get around to finishing, but when it was Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, I was going to make some parts for the Sonic Screwdriver based off the 10th Doctor's version, and I was coming up with different versions of that, although I don't think all the parts exist in the colours and things, but yeah, I'll show you more of these in a moment. My own version of a modular building, a mock upgrade for a Lego City set, and a challenge where I was going to make a 4-wide DeLorean from Back to the Future. But let's start off with the Wild West town, just because I feel like it, it shows a rough idea of what you can do. So we'll head back over to the workshop, click on File, Open, to open one of our models, and as you can see, here's what we've made earlier. So that's all that. Oh, and you can also check out other mocks by other people. So as they load in here, you can see these are things that other users have made. Some of them are very good, so yeah, definitely worth checking out. And then there's also official sets which you can import as well, so you can customize the things. So you've got different themes from Lego here. It doesn't have every set, but it has quite a lot of them, so it's quite a fun thing to have a look at. If we go back to me, and let's start off with our Wild West town. So I first started this a year ago, last year maybe even the year before, where I started to kind of think, yep, I want to do a Wild West layout, so what can I come up with? And I just kind of used this to get a rough idea. I thought I'm not going to build everything in here, because I think that'd be a waste of time, but just to kind of get a rough idea of how things are. So as you can see, here's what we have, and I did import a couple of official Lone Ranger sets into this. So sorry if it's a bit laggy here. Oh dear. I'm kind of doing everything on my iPad at the moment, so you can do this on an iPad, which is what I'm screen recording my iPad right now and recording into it at the same time. So if there's any lag, this poor iPad Pro is working hard, that is for sure. But as we can see, we've got official Lone Ranger sets here, and this is where I put my custom track, so you can see what that's like. If I just change the view to the center, there we go. So I have plans for a train station, which is represented by the kind of sand green border of bricks here. And then on the far side of this L-shaped brown is where I plan to just like little horse stables potentially. And then another building in the back represented by the dark tan border. Over by the silver mine shootouts, where I plan to have my little Native Americans, where they're going to be based up. There's a little bit of water suggestion coming around, kind of continuing off from the waterfall in the silver mine shootout set. So I'm going to customize that. I'm going to make it nice flow and just kind of build up a nice bit of landscaping in the corner. So yeah, not much to see here, but this is kind of where I got the idea from. Next up, if we go for something a bit more exciting, it's my custom trains. So I've come up with a few different designs of things here. Some mostly steam engine based, but a couple of diesel locomotives as well. So if we start off with this green tank engine. Now this was the first custom train that I'd built ever like this, and I was pretty impressed. It's a tank engine, loosely inspired by good old Thomas the Tank Engine. Obviously this one's green, using all official parts. All of these parts exist in Lego's colours. it is it's structurally sound, so I could order the parts tomorrow and build this by the end of the week if I really wanted to. And I do plan to getting around to building it. It's just I have so many things I want to do. I don't know where to start. But I was pretty impressed with how this turned out. Just kind of thinking, okay, what parts can I use? How things are going to work. And yeah, I'm very happy with that. And I just put a minifigure in there just kind of get some representation of kind of minifigure scale and things. But it's nice. It's short. It's sweet. Yeah, it's unmistakably a tank engine. It's just, yeah, really happy with that. So this is one that I'm even looking at it now. I'm very proud of how I managed to accomplish this. And like I said, all these parts exist and are in these colors, so it's possible to actually build this. And maybe one day I might make some instructions so you guys can build these models as well if you wanted to. But yeah, that's definitely in the plans. And oh yeah, what do you think? Maybe I'm biased, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. But it wasn't all straightforward, because I was thinking, I don't know what sizing and scale to base it off and things. So let's show you another design. So this is kind of what I started with initially before completely scrapping it and essentially building it from scratch, because I was making it turned out a bit too long. It wasn't going to be a tank engine. It was almost going to be the size of a typical steam engine, or at least in scale with the most recent minifigure scale Hogwarts Express, which is where I kind of got some inspiration, especially for the front end. That's based off the Hogwarts Express. And then obviously the boiler. And again, okay, it's going to be a bit too long, so I scrapped this for now. I kind of left it unfinished as a reminder of kind of where I began, and I might make a custom version of a proper steam engine in the future. And after I made my green tank engine, I wanted to make another one similar in size, because I built it based off the green. I've practically copy and pasted the green and then kind of deleted all the top half where the cab is and all the boiler is and rebuilt it, but otherwise all the wheels and the lower half is pretty much identical. So this one's got a bit more of a blocky design. I don't know how historically accurate it may be, but I just wanted to change the funnel as well, and just the whistle and things, and the little handle on the boiler there. I wanted the rails. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Dark red and red. I think it might look a little harsh almost, but obviously this is not even a render at this point, it's just a mock-up, so it might look a little bit different once I've actually built the real thing. But yeah, I still prefer the green one, but I like what I tried. I wanted to go for something different with this one, so I'm pretty happy with that. And all of these engines are 6 wide to kind of fit in with standard Lego City. Obviously they might stick out a little bit further, but the main build of it is 6 wide, because that's kind of what I'm going for. I know some people like to do 7 wide or even 8 wide or larger, for example, because you can get more details and things, but for the moment I'm sticking with my 6 wide. It works for me and I'm happy with how that's turned out. But if we've got passenger trains, we need something for them to pull, so I came up with a couple of carriages, and I've got a couple of different versions. So here's one here. I like the colour scheme. Again, I'll be honest with you, this is inspired by a carriage from Thomas the Tank Engine, which I did actually watch a couple of episodes just to kind of refresh my mind. I used to love it as a kid. And I wanted to get some inspiration for train carriages that I could make, because I've made a couple before, but I really like this one. And in the past I've kind of ignored the undercarriage, but I thought, let's give it a bit of, it's not, I don't know how accurate it might be, but I just feel like it looks more proper. So this is 24 studs long, 6 studs wide, but obviously a little bit extra with the kind of running board I put along it. And then this carriage doesn't have any opening doors, but I did leave suggestions for 3 doors on each side. And it's got these curved windows on there. I wanted to try something a little bit different with the rooftop, and I was really happy with how this one turned out. And again, this one is possible to be built. All the parts exist, so I don't want to design anything that I can't build, because I don't see the point in that. Ultimately, I do want to have this in person, but this is a kind of the second version, because originally the dark green bricks, I did want to have them textured bricks, so let's show you that. So here you can see it's got the texture of the kind of grilled bricks, these profile bricks here, but they only came in dark green in one set like 15 years ago, so they're incredibly expensive to find, and I think this looks better, but it's just not feasible, so I decided to go for the plain bricks instead, which is still fine. It will still look good, but just so you can see kind of my original idea of what I was hoping for it to be. And maybe one day if LEGO reintroduce this part in this colour, then I will go back to this idea. Now this one is probably my wow, I love them all, but there's something about this one that I really like, And this is like a tram-style passenger coach. If you've seen, again, it was Thomas and Friends, you know Toby, his coach Henrietta, I believe that's her name, Henrietta? That's what this is based off. And I initially kind of got the spark of inspiration because I saw somebody else build one of these over on Instagram. I've forgot their name right now, but I'll pop their name up on screen with a picture of their version. And I just saw it, I thought, yeah, I like that. I want to build something like it. And this is what I came up with, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. Again, the doors can't open, but there is a suggestion, although I feel like they might look a little bit small with only being 2 studs wide, but it's just working with the colours, because this is in dark orange, and there aren't that many parts that I needed for this in dark orange, so I could, had to work with what I wanted here. And the roof can be removable. There's no interior details or anything, but again, if I was building this for real, I would just pop a couple of chairs in there. I didn't feel the need to put that in. But you can remove the roof, and the windows got some studs on the side construction going here, which initially I didn't want to do because I don't like how with this style of build and the parts I've used you can see the studs showing through the transparent clear bricks there. Personally, I'm not a fan of that look, but it was the only way I could achieve these small narrow windows in this fashion and get the dark orange stripe in between each one being so thin. It was just easier to do it studs on the side. So I'm happy with how it's turned out, but I don't mind when you can see studs on show, but just personally for the windows I feel like it interrupts them a little bit, but it was the only way I could do it, and yeah, I'm just very happy with how this has turned out. Yeah, that looks good. But if we move on from passenger trains to some more freight or cargo trains, I did design a couple of diesels. Let's start off with my small diesel shunter, which you may have seen. I called this version 2, but I can't remember what happened to version 1, but I feel like it's a bit too short and it's a little bit stubby, which I suppose it's only supposed to be a little shunter, switcher sort of thing, so that's kind of what I was going for here, but I feel like I need to make the whole thing just maybe 2 studs longer, or 4 max, but I wanted it to be the same size as my small tank engines, although, yeah, maybe it just shouldn't be, because I feel like, yeah, I don't know, something about it, it's not quite there for me. It was originally, well, it was partially inspired by good old Diesel from Thomas the Tank Engine, which is a classic British rail, I want to say class 8. I don't know if that's correct off the top of my head, but something of that era, and that's what I was going for. And my kind of cargo company in universe is a dark blue and yellow colour scheme, but I wanted to keep a bit of black for the kind of original source of inspiration. Got the hazard stripes on the front there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, I should note that none of my trains are designed to be motorized because I don't have a layout space where I can motorize trains. If anything, I might have a little suggestion of track, like just a single straight line. So it kind of feels pointless to me to motorize them, but if it is something I want to do in the future, then, that's a fun challenge for future me to worry about. And you can fit a minifigure inside the cab and some lights on the back. I like the back and I like the cab design, but I feel like the whole front section just needs to be a little bit longer, and then I'll be happy with it a bit more. Moving on to a larger locomotive here, I've got 2 of them. They're basically the same thing, it's just different colours, and I haven't finished putting the wheels on, but this is inspired by a Great British Rail Freight Class 66, I think it is. At least that's what I was going for, although there are some other classes that are similar to this, and perhaps this looks slightly older than what I was going for, but it was the look that I wanted. I see a lot of these when I do go on train journeys around me. There's a rail yard not too far away where I often see many of these, and again with the dark blue colour scheme, it's probably inspired by the real Great British Rail Freight, their dark blue colour schemes, but I am pretty happy with how this has turned out. Yeah, for someone who doesn't really do a lot of digital design before and never made trains before, only looking at reference images on Google, I don't know what more I could do at my current level of expertise. Yeah, and again, all parts are possible. It exists in these colours. Obviously the California sticker there is just something I put on just to kind of give it a bit of colour, like a registration number or something in universe. So I've already got the stickers for that. Yeah, I need to just come up with the wheels to finish building those, but otherwise it is ready to go. And I built one pretty much exactly the same model, just in a different colour, with the yellow kind of being more prominent. So they're the same based off the same thing, obviously just a few colour swaps. But otherwise, yeah, pretty nice. Although the windscreen piece, if I can select it there, this part doesn't exist in yellow, so I don't think I'm able to build this one exactly at the moment, and even finding it in dark blue is hard enough as it is, so hopefully LEGO reuse that part. Otherwise this one's just kind of a, maybe one day, but it's almost is the ideal windscreen piece. I don't know what other alternatives I could do, but yeah, hopefully they bring it out in the colours that I need. Otherwise, all of it can be built, which is great. So that pretty much covers it for trains. Now let's go to something else. Let's take a look at the sonic screwdrivers so you can kind of see what I was going for. So I got this idea based off a rebrickable model, which is kind of based off this one over here, the 10th Doctor or 9th Doctor's sonic screwdriver. And this model, as far as I'm aware, all the parts do exist. I might have made a couple of swaps actually, adjustments to it. But it is pretty much possible to build this one. Although this piece here in light bluish grey is very hard to find. I think it was only in one set or something. So that was a bit of a shame. And then I decided to make other versions because I wanted it to be extended, not like an actual working mechanism. That would be amazing. But just to kind of give a representation of it. Although I don't think all of these parts exist in this colour. This is where I kind of just wanted to perfect the design and see what I can come up with. Or maybe it can. Or maybe it does. Maybe it does exist. I think one of these, maybe this one or this one, these two models, I don't think all the parts exist in there, especially, oh yeah, no, I remember now. So yeah, I think I can build this one, great, but I still feel like the kind of clear tubing bit here is, you know, if you look at the model of the sonic screwdriver, it's not the same thickness as the handle area, but the only way to achieve that in LEGO would be by using a next skinnier piece, which does not exist. It's like a 1 by 1 by 2/3, or like a 1.5 height clear cylinder piece, which doesn't exist in clear. Obviously I could use a standard 1 by 1 round cylinder piece and maybe use 2 of those, but they kind of have that weird join where you try and stack those, and yeah, so that's kind of what I was going for. I feel like I'm pretty proud of the design of how, you know, like you look at it and you know what it's trying to be. And then some of them I've got the black kind of going through the clear piece, and some are yellow, because again it depends what reference images you look at. Sometimes the little cabling or the spiral screw is yellow and sometimes it's black. And then again, sometimes the handle is this kind of tan colour. Yeah, so I wanted to try out a model with that. This model here is the ideal one I'd like to build. But yeah, I might need to come up with a new swap for this part here because it doesn't exist at that time. But otherwise, yeah, you know what that is, right? That's a pretty good sonic screwdriver. Next up, I'll show you some colour swaps I did for a LEGO Friends set, which I planned for my Winter Village, although I didn't get around to doing it last year, so maybe this year. But the LEGO Friends Autumn's Horse Stable, I really liked as a set, but the colours were just all wrong, so I've rebuilt it from scratch. Obviously not including all the details, but and then did a few colour swaps. And this colour scheme, I feel like just works for a Winter Village. Obviously you've got the snow instead of the grass, you've got the wood, brown wood, so it's kind of a bit older, maybe more kind of like European vibes to it. But yeah, otherwise this one's pretty good, and at the moment, yep, all these parts exist in the right colours, so this is possible to be built. And I think I did start getting some parts to do this last year, so maybe I'll continue that. Now I experimented with a few different colour designs because I wasn't too sure which one, so as you can see, but the brown one I just showed you is the one I think I'm going to go for. And next is something a little bit interesting. It is the Daily Weekly Studio, not the current one that you've seen me recently filming. No, the OG, before Daily Weekly Builds even existed. There was an idea, a place where me and Jake used to record videos for the Daily Weekly show and the Daily Weekly podcast, and I thought, let's build that in LEGO. So I went through a few different versions of it. So this is just one of the versions there, again, building it from scratch, and you can see in the background some of the furniture I made because it was filmed in my bedroom. So I kind of recreated my bedroom in LEGO form, and if you've ever visited this place, then you know exactly what is what, and this is pretty darn accurate. So let's show you the final version I came up with. So this is what it looks like, and it's kind of designed as like a little diorama display set where the walls can be removed so you can see interior access. And then the minifigures on the end there are supposed to represent me and Jake, and because Jake is slightly taller than me, well, maybe more than slightly, I made his minifigure a little bit taller by putting some plates underneath him just to boost him up there. And then where the white round tiles are, I'm going to get some printed tile letter tiles. That was a mouthful. So you can kind of put our initials there, so you know it's like a proper little tribute to the Daily Weekly set. Anything you see in red is represent like printed or stickered tiles. So, you know, I can worry about those at a later date. But yeah, this is what it looked like, the OG back in the old days. Yeah. And there's some pretty clever building techniques in this, and I'm very proud of how it's turned out. Yeah, so that one again, all completely possible to build, structurally sound, hopefully, if I'm doing everything correctly. And yeah, I look forward to doing that one day. Next up is one of the very first models. I kind of went, right, I'm going to do some digital design. Although, when building it, I didn't group things and layer things together. So, there's a lot of interior details. It's a pub, based off a pub in my hometown. Although, I don't think I've actually been inside this pub. So, inside is not accurate, I don't know. But the outside was inspired by it. In scale with, or will be in scale with, official LEGO modular building. As you can see, I kind of copied the street front out there. And it's got a little side garden with some stairs leading up to the second floor. But inside, well, let's just say when I designed this, yeah, it's not easily accessible in this program for me to, like, oh yeah, let me just take off the roof, because I didn't group the parts that way. So all the parts are just kind of, well, yeah, they're not grouped properly. So sadly, I can't show you completely inside, but it's got a fully detailed interior, tiled flooring, it's got seating, there's like cabinets in there, and a clock on the wall, like retro antique gun, there's a dartboard, there's toilets in there, there's a kitchen around the back, you can see the kitchen in there. I did borrow some design notes from the Parisian restaurant for a few mini builds, but the bar's built up, the pump or the tap there on the bar, I love how I came up with that design. Unfortunately, with this build, most of these parts do not exist in these colors. So when if really, this one's the biggest if out of all of them, but if I do ever get around to building this in person, I'm gonna have to either wait a long time for LEGO to make all these parts in these colors, or just kind of do a heck of a lot of color swaps. But I just wanted to kind of push myself as a digital project just to see what I can do. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. There's a lot of details packed in such a small space. It's on a 32 by 32 base plate, the main pub, and then the little side gardens on a 16 by 32, and then yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm just struggling with inspiration and motivation to kind of build the top half. Like, I know what it looks like, it's just getting around to doing it. But yeah, this one I am very passionate about. I think I took a few screenshots along the way, so I'll pop those up so you can kind of get an idea of some of the progress that I've been going along. But yeah, I'm very happy with this one. And let's just quickly show this 4-stud wide DeLorean. Yeah, so I wanted to make a Back to the Future DeLorean in 4 studs wide because I wanted to make myself a challenge. Because, you know, I like LEGO City 4-stud wide vehicles, and I wanted to see if I could do it. And this is as far as I got. I'll finish it one day, but there's some really cool 8 wide ones on Rebrickable, and I'm not a fan of 8 wide vehicles, but these 8 wide Back to the Future DeLoreans are absolutely brilliant by Fire Fabric on Rebrickable. Yeah, that is definitely something I'm going to build. I just love them all. So yeah, this 4-stud one, yeah, it's a bit sad, really, isn't it? And now onto this one, which is a kind of extension. I've kind of talked about this before when I reviewed the recent LEGO City fire station. I liked what they were going for, but obviously it is not enough for a fire station, so I kind of built the rest of it. This is what is supposed to be included. You know, this is the rest of it. So the pink plates at the front represent where the official set just literally slots in. It is designed completely to fit in with that. Although I did make one mistake. As you can see, the kind of 2 garage bays at the back, like 16 studs wide each, and obviously the real thing has 2 bays, but there's a little separate bit in the middle. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to change it, because maybe the garage bays are bigger at the back, and, you know, they can use it for other storage space. But believe it or not, this whole model that I built is designed in a way where the roof can be taken off. It's designed that way. The floors, each one is kind of based on a 16 by 16 area, so that can be detached. Even for the ground floor, it's connected by Technic pins. So the whole thing, mainly for storage for me, like, it's not designed to be taken apart and rearranged or anything, but if I needed to pack it away, I can take it apart in smaller sections. So yeah, each 16 by 16 module is its own thing, which is great. Got a helipad on the front, and it's overhanging now, but once you put the official set there, the roof comes together. So we've got a little bench outside, an elevator, borrowed the design from the Avengers Tower and Daily Bugle. I've got a little planter box. I'm going to put like a reception desk down the front. And then, well, I suppose while you can see on the roof, there's some air conditioning, some solar panels, some antennas, some ventilation for the elevator, and a stairway access on there. Again, when I designed this, I didn't really design it so I could take it apart and show people what I built. But inside, in this corner over here, by the highlighted plate, I'm going to build a little kitchenette area, I think. And then, let's see if I can get this right. There's also a shower room and toilet, a little sink in the back corner there. We're going to have the fire chief's office in the middle of the room, and then there's some sleeping quarters with bunk beds over here. And then kind of in this big open area, I'm going to put like a break room and like a little gym area. And then of course you've got the official set with a little dispatch area. So it kind of all works together. When I come to do my Lego City, this will probably want to be the first things I put in there because it's the most recent thing I've done and I'm really happy with it. It's got that clear color blocking from the original set. And it's not just plain, you know, I put a few profile masonry bricks in there just to kind of liven it up a little bit. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Looking forward to getting that. Again, I don't bother with interior details when I'm digitally designing. Like, I might put a few in there, but generally I'll just do that when I get around to doing the real thing. And speaking of doing the real thing, if I'm making a Lego City, I'm going to go down the Mills route. Now, I know that's going to include a lot of parts and be a lot more expensive, but from what I've seen, it is just better. It looks better. Things are more structurally sound if I need to move them around. So for me, that's the route I'm going for, and I need a lot of road plates. So I've just kind of designed some based off things that other people have done, but there's some slight tweaks and things which I've done for myself. And at the moment, at the time of recording this video in Mecabricks, the actual Lego City kind of road plates don't exist in this system. So I've just kind of represented it with tiles, but obviously all the sidewalks and things, I've used spots for minifigures to stand on the modified tiles. So that's all done. And this blue thing down here is a rubbish bin. It's a trash can inspired by the ones in my local hometown. Yeah, that's pretty cool design. If you know what they are, then you know what they are. It's pretty accurate as I could get it in Lego form. So I was like, yeah, that's pretty nice. I got a spot next to it for the lamppost to go. And oh, looks like I'm missing a brick down there. Huh. Let's just pop one of those in. There we go. Right. And then I'll make sure I should save that. So I've come up with a few different designs. I've got the straight road. I've got one that's 16 by 32 where spaces I need to have like half the size, so that's all designed. I've got one where the train track comes through, so there's going to be a crossing here, so I needed to come up with that. And a lot of people with their train crossings for Mills plates, they have their track elevated and then make the pavement and roads go raise up, but for me, my track is lower, or it's the same height as the road itself, but the pavement is higher up, so I needed to kind of slope that down. I don't know, it looks a little bit awkward, but I couldn't think how else to do it. And then this plate is going to go in front of the fire station. Obviously, you've got the hazard stripes there, so people know you can't like park there or anything. This needs to be kept clear at all times. So I thought that's pretty cool. Achieve that with the triangle tiles. Yeah, I like that. That's going to look pretty nice in front of the fire station, I think. And that pretty much covers it. That's everything I've built so far digitally. Again, I'm still pretty new to this. I'm still learning my way through it. But yeah, this is pretty exciting. I suppose since I've showed you some things I want to include in Lego City, I should show you my plan for a Lego City. So I've actually come up with my Lego layouts for all the layouts that I've done so far on Google Sheets. That's kind of how I did it. I worked out the math to kind of get the cells to be the right size for what determines a base plate, for example. So this is a 32 by 32. We've got a 16 by 16, 8 by 16, that sort of thing. So this is one that I came up with for my 2022 version, the very first, which I did as well. I kind of modified it slightly in 2023, and I made a video on this Lego layout, I think last year, so search that up on the channel. And then for 2024, obviously I've got new studio space now, I've got more table space, I want to make something bigger, but at the time being, my space for layouts is longer rather than wider. So this is the first version I came up with, and I wanted a little bit of everything. So I really like kind of cargo and like the harbour and things, so I wanted to have some of that over here. So I've got space for a couple of cargo ships, including a new one that's coming out later in the summer. Obviously got the road plates suggested down here, got my fire station in place, a little bit of railway because I don't have enough space to have a full loop going around, so it's just a straight suggestion, which, you know, I'm fine with. It's what I've done in the past. It's nice, otherwise it just takes up too much space with a few shops scattered around, and then all the pink blocks are just kind of spaces that are empty. But then I wanted to come up with another version. Well, what if I included a little beach? Where am I going to put that? So I made version 2, which is the version I'm going to use, and it's way more complete. So things have moved around in terms of the road layout. So the fire station's now in the top left corner. The roads have changed. So that's all going there. We've got a train station down the bottom, then in space for the beach. We've got a bunch of shops over here. So it might look a little bit confusing, but the way the words are facing is the direction the front of the shop is going to face, if that makes sense. There's going to be a little plaza area down here, and then a small pier. This is all very limited, because the whole thing is 2.5 base plates deep, essentially. So there's limited things I can do. The buildings aren't going to be 32 by 32 modulars or anything. They're going to be small, like 8 by 16 or 16 by 16 buildings. I feel like the more I can get in is better, rather than having fewer things. To me, that's more interesting at the moment, so that's what I'll be doing. And like the beach is very small. It's like just the smallest cutout of sand, you know. Like, yeah, it is not going to be very big, because the pier is 16 by 16, so the beach is like where the water's going to be is only 8 studs deep. So, you know, it's just going to be a small suggestion. Like, the whole city exists. This is just a cutout of what you're seeing. And then the harbour area is still in the same place. So I've got a few good ideas about that. And, you know, this could change, because I don't think I'll be doing this. I mean, you know, I can't build the whole thing overnight. It's going to take a long time to get to this stage, and plans might evolve. But for the time being, this is what I've got. And then I kind of did it as well for my winter village. This is one from 2022. So as you can see from the YouTube videos I made about the winter village, that's where I planned this layout on. So yeah, I look forward to there's so much I can do, and I look forward to all of it. Have you guys started any Lego cities or anything? Tell me in the comments. But yeah, there we go. That pretty much sums up everything that I've built so far digitally, and I look forward to getting the parts and building some of these things in the near future. Oh, didn't necessarily try and build them to a certain price point, but when it turns out most of my trains cost me roughly £30 to £35 each to make. So obviously if you add all that up, that's going to be pretty expensive. Lego train stuff is expensive, but that is kind of like, I'm happy with paying that. Like £30 for the train, I can stomach that, especially when it's my own custom design and everything. So it will take some time to get all of these done, but they're not too expensive to build one at a time, for example. So that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed some of the things I've been making. And once again, I'm just using the free software online called Mecabricks. You don't need to download anything, it's just browser based. And as you can see, I'm doing this on an iPad, which I've not really tried to do. I guess if you have one that's powerful enough, you could probably do it on your iPad. But otherwise, I run it on an old Chromebook. So there you go. If it can run on a Chromebook, it can run on a high-end MacBook or a fancy Windows computer. But then I guess you'd probably just use Bricklink Studio, which ultimately is what I do want to use. And you know, I'll get around to swapping over eventually. But for the time being, this has worked for me.
So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And tell me if you've been building any digital designs recently. Tell me in the comments. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now. Thank you very much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel or on one of my other channels as well. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends.